And we've got some new information to unpack, right?
We do. We're going to be looking at the court testimony of Detective Captain Wesley Lombard.
Where do we start with this testimony?
Well, there was some serious drama. Joshlin's mother, Kelly Smith, actually collapsed in court and they had to adjourn.
Oh, wow. So high emotions running, huh?
Absolutely. But before that happened, Lombard gave a pretty detailed account of the investigation, starting right from the beginning when he first got word that Joshlin was missing.
Okay, so let's start there. What did he say about those initial stages?
He laid out the whole timeline, from the first moments to the eventual charges. Kelly Smith, her boyfriend Jason Apollos, a man named Stefano F. Rinn, and one other person were all charged with kidnapping.
Right, and I remember reading about that. It's such a complex case, so many people involved.
Exactly. And of course, right off the bat, there were massive search operations, depending on how much effort the police were putting in to try and find Joshlin.
Yeah, you can imagine the resources poured into something like this. So many people searching, desperate to find her. But it sounds like things got complicated pretty quickly, even beyond the usual challenges of a missing person case, right?
That's exactly where Lombard's testimony takes a turn. He talked about how social media, community leaders, even politicians, they all ended up making the investigation much harder.
Really? So even with all the good intentions trying to help, things got messy.
It seems so. Lombard actually said this whole environment made things less safe for Joshlin and made it harder for the police to do their jobs.
I see what you mean. Everyone wants to help, but maybe sometimes it can backfire a little.
Right. He specifically called out the spread of misinformation on social media as a major issue, which makes sense, you know? Information spreads so fast these days.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? We're all so connected now. But that means rumors and false information can go viral in an instant.
Exactly. And that can really throw off an investigation, send the police on wild goose chases.
Not to mention the potential danger it puts the child in.
Absolutely. Lombard was also really concerned about some of the comments made by Gayton McKenzie. He's the leader of the Patriotic Alliance.
Oh, right, I know who you mean. He's a pretty outspoken figure.
He is. And Lombard called his comments dangerous, you know, in the context of the investigation.
So it sounds like he was concerned that certain statements, even if well-intentioned, could actually make things worse.
That seems to be the gist of it. There's a responsibility that comes with having a platform, especially when a child's safety is at stake.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, for sure. You want to raise awareness, but you also don't want to hinder the investigation or put the child in more danger.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just the outside voices that caused problems. Lombard talked about how the community itself started to turn against the police.
Really? Why would that happen?
Well, the initial investigators, these two detectives, they were trying to blend in, you know, listen to what people were saying in the community, just trying to get a feel for things.
That makes sense. Get a sense of what the locals are thinking. But it didn't go as planned, huh?
Not really. What they picked up on was that people were starting to think the police were scaling back, you know, withdrawing resources, like they were giving up.
Oh, that's a problem. Whether it's true or not, that kind of perception can really hurt the investigation.
That's what Lombard was saying. It created this atmosphere of distrust right when they needed the community's help the most.
Yeah, because police rely so much on people coming forward with information, especially in a missing person case. But if they think the cops aren't taking it seriously, why would they bother?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that distrust just makes everything harder. So now you've got outside pressures, community tension, and on top of all that, Lombard had some really strange encounters with Joshlin's mother, Kelly Smith.
Okay, I'm curious about that. What happened there?
Newsroom Africa actually described this part of the testimony as baffling. That should tell you something.
Oh, wow. Okay, so lay it on me. What was so baffling?
Well, Lombard said that just days after Joshlin went missing, Kelly Smith was talking about how her life had to go on, how her other kids needed her.
Yeah, okay, I can see how that might seem a little off.
And she apparently said that Joshlin wasn't even in Saldana Bay anymore. And get this, Lombard said she was smiling while she said it.
Seriously? Smiling? That's really strange.
Yeah, it didn't sit well with him at all. And there was another incident where Kelly was apparently rude to two police officers, shouting at them, swearing, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, that's really unusual. You'd think she'd be doing everything she could to cooperate with the people trying to find your daughter.
You'd think so. Lombard actually had to step in and give her a talking to, tell her that kind of behavior wouldn't fly.
He had to put his foot down, huh?
He did. Then there was the time when he asked Kelly and Jason to stay behind at the station, you know, give more statements, answer some questions.
Pretty standard procedure, I'd imagine.
You'd think, but Kelly refused. said they had to go pick up food from a restaurant.
Seriously. They were more worried about takeout than helping the investigation.
That's how it came across, according to Lombard. It's not what you'd expect from parents in this situation.
No, not at all. There's just so much about her behavior that seems off.
And it gets even weirder. Lombard talked about the day Kelly was supposed to meet with the Minister of Police.
Okay, what happened there?
Well, the report says she showed up looking very beautiful. And get this, she allegedly said that Joshlin was making me famous.
Wait, hold on. Did she really say that? That's chilling.
That's what Lombard testified to. It's a detail that really sticks with you.
Yeah, no kidding. It just adds to this whole unsettling feeling about her behavior.
For sure. And in the middle of all this, both the current and the former ministers of police actually visited the community.
I guess trying to show that they were taking it seriously, right?
Exactly. It was all about reassuring people that they were still looking for Joshlin, that they hadn't given up.
Which makes sense, given how the community was starting to feel.
Right. They had to try and rebuild that trust.
So even with all this effort, all these investigations, and the arrests, where do things stand now?
Sadly, Joshlin Smith is still missing. The Newsroom Africa report makes it clear that the investigation is ongoing, but there's still no sign of her.
Oh, man. That's so heartbreaking.
It is. But the legal process isn't over yet. Lombard has finished giving his initial testimony, but what comes next is the defense gets to cross-examine him.
Right, so they'll try to poke holes in his story, see if they can find anything that helps their clients.
Exactly. And then after that, they're expecting a trial within a trial.
Okay, so things are going to get even more complex then.
It seems so. There's still a long way to go in this case.
So just to recap, what we've heard from Detective Lombard really shows just how complicated this whole thing has been.
Absolutely. The role of social media, the way the community reacted, Kelly Smith's behavior, it's all added up to a very difficult situation for the investigators.
And yet in the midst of all that, the biggest question remains unanswered. Where's Joshlin?
That's the question everyone wants answered.
It is. And as we think about everything we've discussed today, it really makes you wonder, how do you even investigate a case like this in the age of instant information?
Yeah, when everyone has a platform and opinions spread like wildfire.
It's a whole new set of challenges for law enforcement.
Yeah.
And it leaves us with a lot to think about.
It does. So for everyone listening, we want to hear your thoughts. How do you think these factors, the information overload, the community dynamics, the individual behaviors, how do they all play into a case like this? I think this case, it really makes you think.
About what?
Well, about how stressful all of this is for everyone involved.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
And how that stress, that pressure affects people.
How they act, what they say.
Exactly. You wonder, are they telling the truth?
Or are they just saying what they need to survive?
Right. Are they protecting themselves?
It's a high-stakes situation.
It is. The stakes don't get much higher.
It makes you think about truth,
What is truth in a situation like this?
How do you even know it's real?
Exactly. Everyone has a different story.
So how do you sort through it all?
That's the challenge, isn't it? That's what the court has to figure out.
It's a heavy case, a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about.
Well, thanks for breaking it down with us today.
Of course, anytime.
Until next time, everyone, stay safe.
And keep your eyes open.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive.
We will. See you then.